All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another 2025 AFL tips and predictions video. Again, this week we have round 12, actually the first week of some buys, and of course there you got Carlton, North Melbourne, Bulldogs, and Port, who are not playing, which again sucks for those supporters, but also I think if you're a North fan, I mean, yeah, you probably want to buy, because holy crap, we have a lot to unpack with their most recent game. But again, before we do get into the latest tips for this week, I would just like to say, if my voice decides to crack or something like that, I'm not going through puberty again. Like, I know it may be hard to believe that the face you're watching right now is actually in his early 20s, but I'm in fact not 15 years old, contrary to popular belief. Again, I'm just sick. I've got a throat infection, a cold, whatever was genetically made in some freaking factory or something has been put into my immune system. So I don't know how this is of course working, but it's absolutely pissing me off. So I just wanted to preface that. Again, we do have the first game here though, which is the Brisbane Lions versus Essendon Football Club on Thursday night. I mean, Brisbane are an incredibly good team right now. They are the powerhouse team of the competition, while Essendon, it's hard to get a good read on where they sit. I mean, they were able to beat Richmond, but realistically, they were playing really, really bad footy most of the game until the third quarter, and Richmond were without, obviously, you know, their legit spine of Noah Bolter, Toby Dankervis, and Tom Lynch. So it was a really weird game to get a read on, and they did get smashed the week before. Again, I have previously been a bit of an Essendon, you know, hopeful on the channel, saying I really like their list. Again, I'm not too sure about what's going on now. I was watching Elijah Sardis in the VFL and Dylan Shield in the VFL, a bunch of VFL players who they just hoped would be better in the AFL right now. It's a weird situation over there, but I think Brisbane, I mean, also because it's at the Gabba, and I mean, they're playing really good footy right now, other than like their draw to North Melbourne, but they're playing really good footy right now, and I expect them to get the win here. Again, on Friday night though, we have an absolute powerhouse game. If you think Brisbane Lions are absolutely powerhouse, wait till you get two of them in one, with the Collingwood Football Club versus Hawthorn Hawks at the MCG on a Friday night. Again, this is a massive game because we know what happened last year. I mean, it was like a revenge game for Jack Ginnivan, and the Hawks absolutely dismantled the Pies last year. I mean, it was a crazy watch. It was one of the biggest reality checks for a football club that I've personally ever seen, but also it was one of the biggest, like, welcome to the AFL, I am here moments by the Hawthorn Football Club. So that was absolutely massive, and I genuinely believe that this could be a really good game, because this is not the Collingwood of last year. I mean, they've added Dan Houston, who, is he playing? I don't know if he's going to play this week. I don't even know what's going on there. Harry Perryman, obviously a bunch of new role players like Ned Long and Tim Membry to the team, amongst a bunch of other things. This is going to be a way different game again. I'm actually going to back in the Hawks still, but this is a different Collingwood team who should not be getting absolutely torched like they did the previous week. So that will be a good one. Again, Gold Coast versus Freemantle at People First Stadium on the Saturday at 1:20. I mean, in reality, right, this should be the game of the two teams competing for the top 8, but I think Gold Coast are well and truly, like, finding themselves pretty high in the top 4 right now. You've also got Fremantle, who, I mean, they did just win. At the time of making this video, they are in 9th spot, but I think Gold Coast are really, really good. Like, I've spoken about this on the channel before. I think Gold Coast are really, really good. They're very, very talented. There's not a whole lot wrong with them, but I think Fremantle have a lot of holes. There's a lot of issues with them at the moment. Again, I think Gold Coast should get the win, but if Fremantle were going to win any game, I mean, you would absolutely love it to be this game, because what a statement it would be if the Fremantle Football Club could knock off Gold Coast again. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Gold Coast Suns will get the win here, but it would be quite massive if that happened. Again, Giants versus Richmond on Saturday. I actually kind of liked a lot about what I saw from Richmond against Essendon. I mean, the fact is they had absolutely no forward line and everything was really, really young. But it was actually great to see a lot of those boys put up a competition and see how they, of course, went again. Their three key forwards for the game were like Luke Traynor, who's played 9 games or something like that. Jonty Ford played 7 games, and Thomas Sims had played 3 games. So you had like 20 games combined experience from your 3 key forwards. I don't know if that's ever been seen before in the AFL. So that was actually really cool to watch. Again, this is at GWS, and they are trying to get their season back on track again. At the time making this video, they're still in the 8. So they're not going to want to drop a game to a really, really easy team, or should be an easy team, in Richmond. But again, in saying that, Richmond are going to, I think, get Tom Lynch and Toby Nankervis back from injury this week. And there are slight rumours that they're going to get Dion Prestia and McKelty Lafau back from their first VFL games back from injury this week as well. So that could be a massive boost. I mean, to go from 3 key forwards who have played a combined 20 games to McKelty Lafau, who's probably only played like 20 games himself, but obviously has been around for a while in the VFL and now into the AFL, experienced key forward, as well as Tom Lynch, who, when he's actually playing alright, he's playing pretty good. So maybe Richmond will be a little bit more competitive in this game than what we think. Again, as a Tiger fan, at least that's what I hope, but I'm going to back in the Giants to get the job done here again. We got Sydney versus Adelaide at the SCG. I mean, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Sydney's season so far. Very, very strange, very, very weird. They don't actually look really that good in a lot of the games that they have played. While Adelaide, they look pretty decent. They sure do look like a team that probably should be in the top 8. But they have to continue to win because they have dropped a couple as of late. And if they don't continue to win, they're not going to make the 8 in the really competitive landscape that today's AFL game obviously is. You got to continue to keep climbing and continue to keep winning. So, man, they have to get the win here. If they don't get the win here, it's another one of those games. It's just like, shit, they got to win these games to make the 8. Like, especially against a team like Sydney, who aren't really sitting in good form at all. You have to get a win here or you're in a little bit of strife. So that's going to be an interesting one to see. That could be one of the better games to decide, well, where are they going to go this year. So I'll be interested and keen to look at that. Again, Melbourne versus St Kilda on Sunday. Melbourne are starting to slowly come back, slowly get their season back. Again, at the time making this video, Melbourne and St Kilda are 13th and 14th. So they should be pretty much in a very similar boat. But we'll have to definitely wait and see. I mean, I'm going to back in Melbourne just because of their recent form has actually been, I think, quite a lot better than what St Kilda's been. But in saying that, both these teams are at a similar level where they've actually got really underrated young cores coming through and a whole lot to actually work with. So that's going to be an interesting game, and I'm going to go for Melbourne on that one. Lock them in, I reckon. Again, last game, though, we have the West Coast Eagles versus Geelong Football Club. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Cameron has kicked, he kicked like 7 against Port, I think like 5 or 6 the last week. My God, if McGovern doesn't pull up for this game, which I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I think Jeremy Cameron could go off for 10 and he could be like 10 goals plus up in the Coleman, which is just an insane reality to think. But that is how legitimately good a football he's playing. And I don't think West Coast have any chance to really compete here at all. Like, everyone's talking about Brisbane, Collingwood and Hawthorn being like the big bads of the AFL, the big main teams, right, that are winning. But obviously Geelong are actually doing bits right now as well. Like, they are in the top 4 at the time making this video. So they'll be a team who could absolutely come out and smash West Coast and get like a 10% percentage booster at this rate, because that's how well they're going. And West Coast, as we know, they do still have a lot to go and improve on. So that'll be a big game, especially if you're a Geelong fan. I think you're going to be very hopeful to watch that. Again, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions down below on this week's AFL tips and predictions. Do you guys agree with them or do you guys disagree with them? What are your 2025 round 12 AFL tips and predictions? Again, I'd very much like to hear all your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel for all that sports content and use my gaming channel, which will also be getting linked down below. And I guess I'll be seeing you guys next time. Goodbye.